The server room is cold enough to raise goosebumps on your forearms. You've been sitting here for 6 hours, and the numbers still don't add up. You are 31 years old. You hold a CAMS certification, a master's in computer science from the University of Hong Kong, and 3 years of contract work auditing crypto exchanges. Your apartment in Wan Chai is modest. Your reputation is not. You are thorough. You are quiet. You are precisely the kind of person referred through private channels. The exchange is called Clear Vault, registered in the British Virgin Islands. Operational headquarters in a glass tower on DeVoe Road, Central. The man who hired you, Vincent Lam, Chief Compliance Officer on paper, shook your hand firmly and told you the board wanted a clean bill of health before a Series B funding round. The first anomaly appears at hour 2. A cluster of 47 wallet addresses cycling identical transaction volumes back and forth in 22-minute intervals. Wash trading. By hour 4, the lazy part starts to feel intentional. When you run it through Chainalysis, the originating funds trace back to a web of shell accounts registered to Pacific Leisure Services Limited. The deposits arrive in bursts between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m. Friday through Sunday peaks. You know what that pattern looks like: underground gambling syndicate cash-out cycles. The money isn't being laundered through the exchange. The exchange exists to launder the money. You sit very still. The server room hums around you. You close your laptop at 9:47 p.m. and tell Vincent Lam you're making good progress. He smiles with all of his teeth. You don't sleep well. The second day, you go deeper. The wallet clustering extends further than one syndicate network. There are 3 distinct inflow channels. The first traces back to Pacific Leisure Services. The second originates from a series of licensed remittance agents in Macau, addresses that rotate on a 17-day cycle, a classic counter-tracing technique. The third channel is the one that makes you press your palms flat against the desk and breathe slowly. It terminates in a cold wallet address that appeared in a 2021 Financial Intelligence Unit advisory. A non-public advisory linked to a 14K Triad affiliate network operating out of Guangzhou and Shenzhen. The document was marked restricted. You were given access to do your job. You were not supposed to remember this. You do. You know what Clear Vault is now. You know it completely. The question is what you do with it. You draft a preliminary findings report that evening. You include everything: the wash trading, the Pacific Leisure Services flow, the Macau remittance rotation cycle, the cold wallet provenance. You write it cleanly and without editorializing because that is how you were trained to write. You read it back once. Then you save it to an encrypted drive you keep on your body. You delete the working copy from the Clear Vault system. The encrypted drive is the only copy. You hold it in your hand for a long moment before putting it back in your pocket. The next morning, Vincent Lam asks you to join a meeting on the 23rd floor. There are 3 men in the room. Lam doesn't introduce 2 of them. The one he does introduce is named Mr. Chung. He is perhaps 60. He wears a gray suit. His hands are folded on the table, and he looks at you with the kind of patience that takes decades to develop. He tells you that your reputation precedes you. He tells you that Clear Vault has significant plans for the next 18 months. He tells you, in precise and unhurried language, that they are not looking for a compliance audit. They already know what the compliance audit would say. What they are looking for is a systems architect, someone who understands how blockchain monitoring tools work because they have used them to find problems and who might now use that same understanding to engineer around them. He slides a folder across the table. The number inside the folder is 1.4 million US dollars. Your chest tightens. You keep your face still. You have practiced keeping your face still. You ask for 48 hours to consider the proposal. Chung nods. One of the other men in the room writes something in a notebook. You do not see what it says. You go back to your apartment in Wan Chai. You sit on the edge of your bed. You call your sister in Kowloon and ask how her kids are doing. You listen for 12 minutes without saying anything substantial. You eat half a bowl of congee that goes cold. You open the encrypted drive and read your findings report again. You know what Clear Vault is. You know what Chung is asking you to become. The thought you have, the one you are ashamed of, is this. They already know what you found. The folder across the table proves that. If you decline, you leave the building knowing things you were never supposed to know. If you report it, the report routes through the SFC or JFIU, moves through bureaucratic channels for months. And in the meantime, you have made yourself a problem for people who resolve problems without paperwork. You tell yourself it is a practical decision. You tell yourself a lot of things. On the third day, you go back to the 23rd floor and say yes. The work is technical and precise and quietly horrifying. They want the wallet clustering reconfigured, randomized interval timing, dispersal across a broader address tree. Transaction sizing varied to fall beneath Chainalysis thresholds. They want the Macau remittance rotation cycle formalized into a protocol so it can be replicated at higher volume. They want the dark liquidity pools, the internal off-book ledgers where the real balances live, insulated from the customer-facing audit trail by an intermediary layer. That intermediary layer must pass a surface-level HKMA inspection. You build it. You know exactly where the monitoring tools look because you have spent 3 years using them. You design around every single one. You are not a criminal who stumbled into a system. You are an architect who built the walls from the inside out. The 1.4 million arrives in 3 tranches. Clean wire transfers from a consultancy in Singapore that, when you search it, has a professional website and no other visible existence. You pay your taxes. You tell your accountant it's a large contract engagement. He does not ask follow-up questions. Weeks pass. The work is finished. You are retained as a standing technical consultant. The retainer is $40,000 per month. You accept because the alternative has not changed. 7 months in, you learn that a junior compliance analyst named David Fong filed an internal query with Lam about anomalies he found in the customer withdrawal logs. The query was in the system for 11 days. Then it was gone. 3 weeks later, Fong resigns. You hear this from a contact at another firm. She says he left Hong Kong. She says it quietly, in the way people say things they don't want to finish saying. You sit with that for a long time. You think about David Fong when you cannot sleep, which is often. You think about the 47 wallet addresses you found on the first day, before you knew what you were going to do, when you were still just a person doing a job. You think about the moment. You can place it exactly, 9:47 p.m., server room, fluorescent hum, when you still had a choice. You replay it as if replaying it changes the outcome. It does not. The moment is fixed. The outcome is fixed. You are the only thing that changed. You have a girlfriend now. She is a physiotherapist. She is kind and she asks about your work, and you give her versions of the truth that are mostly about systems architecture and regulatory frameworks. She listens because she trusts you, and that trust sits in your chest like something calcified. You go to dinner in Causeway Bay. You order the right things. You laugh at the right moments. You are very good at the outside of things now. The inside is a room you do not enter. The story is fiction, but what it describes is not. Across the Asia-Pacific region, underground gambling networks move an estimated $36 billion annually through layered digital infrastructure. Triads and affiliated networks, including branches of the 14K and Sun Yuan, have been documented by the FATF, Interpol, and the United States Treasury's FinCEN unit as early adopters of cryptocurrency-based layering schemes. Blockchain forensics firms have identified hundreds of exchanges operating with deliberate compliance architecture designed to circumvent AML detection thresholds. The professionals who build and maintain those systems are often not gangsters. They are technicians, auditors, architects who understood the monitoring systems from the inside out. Somewhere right now, a blockchain analyst in his early 30s is sitting in a cold server room in a city with a glass skyline, running chain analysis on a set of wallets. And the numbers are not adding up. The same anomalies, the same patterns, the same late-night deposit bursts, the same 47 addresses cycling in perfect intervals. A folder is going to slide across a table in the next 48 hours. The number inside will be large enough to matter, large enough to change the calculation. He thinks it's a decision he'll make once. He thinks the first contract is the last contract. He thinks he'll find a way out after it ends. He's wrong the same way you were wrong. The architecture traps the architect. The system keeps the person who built it. There is no clean exit once the walls are yours. Knowledge is not neutral. It never was. What you know and what you choose to do with it is the only decision that was ever truly yours to make. You were not born into this. You walked in through a door that looked like opportunity, and the door closed behind you so quietly you almost didn't hear it. Every system you built to hide the money made you more valuable to them. Every layer of architecture you added became another reason they could never let you leave. The people who hired you did not need your loyalty. They needed your competence. Loyalty can be broken. Competence is an asset they own as long as you are afraid. And you are afraid. Not of them exactly. You are afraid of the version of yourself that said yes on the third day. You are afraid of how reasonable it felt. You understand now what corruption actually is. It is not a single catastrophic decision. It is a series of small technical steps, each one logical in isolation, that leads somewhere you cannot walk back from. The CAM certification on your wall means something different now. It was a credential that said you understood the system. Now it says you understood it well enough to dismantle it. There are compliance officers right now reviewing reports you designed to pass. There are auditors running tools you engineered to deceive. They are doing their jobs correctly. The system is failing correctly. Somewhere in a government filing cabinet, there is a restricted FIU advisory with a cold wallet address on it. The address leads to a network. The network leads to an exchange. The exchange leads to you. The chain of evidence exists. It has always existed. You built the obfuscation layers, but you did not erase the chain. You made it harder to follow. You did not make it impossible. You think about that sometimes. Late at night, in the apartment in Wan Chai, when the girlfriend is asleep and the kanji has gone cold again and the encrypted drive is in your pocket. You think about the chain. The chain is the thing you cannot stop thinking about. Not because you are planning to follow it. Because you are not sure anymore whether you want it followed or not. There was a version of you that would have walked out of that server room on the first night and filed the report and taken the consequences. That version made different choices at forks you cannot find anymore. You have tried to locate the exact moment you became someone else. You cannot. It happened in increments so small they were invisible while they were occurring. That is how it always happens. The city does not know what you did. The city does not care. Hong Kong runs on layers: legal, financial, criminal, governmental. And the layers do not acknowledge each other. They coexist. They always have. You are one of the layers now. You did not choose to become a layer. You made a series of choices that had that outcome, and the difference between choosing and arriving matters less than you thought it would. The girlfriend asks if you are okay. You say yes. She believes you. That is the worst part. Not that she doubts you, but that she doesn't. Trust, given freely, is the heaviest thing you have ever carried. David Fong is somewhere. Maybe Melbourne. Maybe somewhere quieter. You hope he is okay. You hope that quietly, in the part of yourself you still have access to, because hoping is one of the last things that still feels like yours. The work continues. The retainer deposits on the first of every month. The compliance architecture holds. Nobody has come. Maybe nobody will. Maybe the chain leads somewhere and someone is already following it, and you will not know until you know. You think about knowledge. What it means to know something and act on it. What it means to know something and not act. What it means to build the thing that proves what you knew all along. Knowledge is not neutral. It never was. And now, sitting in the cold apartment with the encrypted drive in your hand and the city glowing outside and everything you built still standing, you understand that completely, for the first time, in a way that cost you something.